Hello, my name is Kevit Desai. I'm the proud owner of the Jaguar 420. You know, the Jaguar 420 was a very special vehicle. Built in 1960s, it's a very rare vehicle because only 1,500 were produced worldwide. And so definitely this is the only one in East Africa, or possibly in Africa. And it was known as a pocket rocket because Jaguar was quite ambitious in motorsports. It was a motorsport champion. In the 60s, it won all the top races in the world, you know, the Le Mans and so on. And it had invested extensensively in ensuring that they produced cars that were incredibly fast. And so this car meant that it was the only saloon that could go 200 kilometers an hour with a very unique and iconic engine, the XK engine, which was one of the most incredible innovations and developments in engineering at that time.
A car with an honored name in a new version. Powerful, a great performer, not expensive for its class. Just a thing to whisk the gallant Sir Gerald into St. Stephen's Yard to impress other MPs. As always, the British automobile industry makes an impressive splash in the luxury field. Witness the Daimler's stablemate, the E-Type Jaguar, popular everywhere, across the Atlantic especially. What dollar earners the Jaguars have been and will continue to be. Like all our car exporters, they follow up sales with an unfailing after-sale service.
So I would say that, you know, the car has been very much part of my life, and the event, Concours D Elegance, but also the motivation to constantly improve my skills. And that was a very fundamental and foundational capacity that was achieved, you know, having a car like this. Finding this vehicle was an achievement, first and foremost, because one had to go to many scrap yards and see vehicles. And then, you know, I found shells as well as parts and highly degraded vehicles. And so when I finally decided to start putting it together, it was an extraordinary effort. It required a lot of patience. I remember when I finally got the Jaguar and I put it into this vehicle, into a garage, I got a headache, you know, and it was primarily because, you know, there's just so much to be done, you know. The car was just such a wreck, and it was so dysfunctional and so many parts were missing. And, you know, the following day I was just apprehensive and concerned whether I actually made the right decision, because not only was there so much to be done, but I actually didn't know how to start. I really didn't know how to start putting, you know, the scrap together. And then, you know, it took me a while to inspire myself to make an effort to do everything piece by piece. And there too, there was an incredible challenge, because being the only car in the country, one had to now start imagining and doing a lot of research. And of course, at that time, we didn't have the internet. And so it required me to imagine, almost like a puzzle, how to put all the different pieces together. So having put all the pieces together, and this is quite extensive, it's not only mechanical, because this car has quite a lot of sophistication, but it's also electrical, you know, knowing where the wires are and where the circuit diagrams are was part of the effort. And so that led me to read books, do considerable research. I finally got my hands on a workshop manual and a parts manual, and then I started putting all the different parts together. You spend endless nights as well as thoughts around it, like, you know, the braking system was ineffective and kept on locking up. There was a problem because of one of the circuits, and that meant, you know, I had to get the seals, and even though I put the seals in, the system didn't work. And so it's a lot of trial and error, it's a lot of practice, it's a lot of trying to imagine how the entire system works before it actually works in such a pristine condition. And then it's a consistent challenge because something else pops up and you then have to research on another part of the vehicle. So it took a long time for me to actually ensure that, you know, the car was in such condition. The car is quite sophisticated, and, you know, having a car that is more than 50 years old is complex in itself. You know, this car is, 59 years old, and so there are many challenges with respect to seals. Seals deteriorate and they need to be replaced, and sometimes installing seals is complicated because you have to dismantle a considerable amount of the vehicle, but you have to do it very carefully because you have to ensure that nothing else is affected, and the paint is not touched. And so all the mechanical work and the seals refurbishment work is complex in order to put it all together. And so over time I learnt how to ensure that the parts and the specifications were correct in order to have the vehicle to its current state. And so it was quite a journey of extraordinary depth in terms of constantly looking at the vehicle, and I didn't know I had so much artistic talent too, by way of the upholstery and the painting and so on. But the car then, as a project, brought it all out. The Concours at that time was an inspiration from a perspective of ensuring that I improve it. And even though I had studied engineering, the amount of effort and precision that's required is extraordinary, and so that required me to constantly improve all the different systems within the vehicles, whether it was the electrical systems, the upholstery and so on. And I might have dismantled it and put it together almost 20 different times, because of the intensity of work that's required and the detail that's required. You don't win the Concours by just being good at one thing. You have to be good at all 15 different skills in order to put the entire car together. And so even if you're good at mechanics, it means you still have to be good at woodwork, because there's a woodwork panel in the vehicle. And so that requires so much detail, so much effort, so much time, but it's worth it, because at the end of the day you get so much encouragement by the event, you get so much encouragement by the pedestrians, your community of engineers and technicians and so on, and it just becomes a very satisfying and highly motivating project and opportunity. But I think that the car was very giving, in the sense that the more attention you gave it, the more it would give back in terms of satisfaction. And I believe that it was one of the most satisfying efforts of my time, because not only did I accomplish a vehicle, but I also then won the Concours overall, and that really was a huge inspiration and a testimony to my dedication, my perseverance, but then eventually my skill and competency. So indeed, one of the fascinating things about this vehicle and aspects of this vehicle is its engine, a 1960s XK engine. This is a 4.2 litre. It's got a traditional radiator system, and this then supplies water to the engine to cool it down. And so it has all this detail, you know, this is the wiper motor, and these are the SU carburetors. They're two, which feed into the inlet manifold, and thereby provide fuel to a twin overhead camshaft. It's 6 in line, six cylinders, 4.2 litre displacement. The coil is the old style coil, which is a canister, and that's the alternator, and that's the water system for the windscreen. It's got a classic battery in there, and a brake cylinder and brake master cylinder all incorporated in. Part of the reason, as an enthusiast, why we appreciate this is that, you know, you hardly see any plastic in a vehicle like this, and the entire engine is nuts and bolts. It's not like what we see in today's modern vehicles, which first and foremost is inaccessible, and secondly has a lot of electronics and doesn't have the character and style. So every time, you know, we're working on these cars, whether it's opening nuts and so on, there's an infinite satisfaction in opening something so beautiful. But as much as we enjoy opening it, we also have to ensure that every part is sealed properly, and that we use the right washers, the right components in order to get you know, this high level finish. So this particular finish took me 28 years, and it's one of the most astonishing features and extraordinary inspiration for the judges at the Concours. They're always so delighted to see this engine because of its beauty, and most likely probably the only engine in East Africa or Africa like this at this level of detail and attention. So a very powerful, good-looking engine, and extraordinary in terms of its performance and its speed. But Jaguar also invented disc brakes, because in competition they felt that they had to come into a corner to the last moment and then take off. So that way, you know, they would not waste time braking. And so they invented disc brakes both for the front and the rear, which this car has, and the limited slip differential, which ensures that, you know, it has impeccable manners on the road. The car itself has power steering and various other features, making it a highly elegant vehicle to drive, together with two fuel tanks and an array of instrumentation. I, of course, have dismantled this suspension many different times in order to get all the details correct. But once the polishing and the chroming is done, there's a lot of effort that is required also in trying to ensure that everything is set to factory standard. There, you know, the manuals become extremely important, because if you're slightly out of tolerance, then, you know, the car doesn't ride very well on the road. And this is all about ensuring that everything is absolutely perfect, but at the same time measured to a particular standard, a factory standard. These are original Jaguar Lucas horns. Yeah. And when we're restoring vehicles, they have to be absolutely original. And so every effort has been put in place to even chrome the brackets. This is the radiator main pipe, which then feeds water to the engine, and as you can see, that Jaguar chromed these pipes. And as we go backwards from the front, this is the sump of the engine. It carries almost 8 litres of engine oil. This is the filter. All of this has been chromed so as to create a winning standard as far as the Concours D Elegance is concerned. Notice that the springs and the shock absorbers are within the wishbone suspensions, and you can see the disc brakes for the Jaguar 420. And as we go further back, this entire exhaust is stainless steel. It has a 4-speed gearbox with an overdrive, which gives you a 5th gear, and this enables you to ride smoothly. Notice that the gearbox is fairly small. It's because the engine was incredibly powerful, and so it didn't need a very large gearbox. Because the engine produced almost 240 brake horsepower, it was adequate to have a small gearbox, a manual gearbox, a 4-speed manual gearbox with all the synchro meshes and so on. You hardly hear any noise when you are driving, and it's because of the perfect manufacturing and design of this gearbox. The propeller shaft is as follows, and then comes one of the most exciting features of the underside, and this is the independent rear suspension. The entire suspension is bolted onto the body. It consists of 4 shocks, 2 on each side, and a hub which has also been polished so that it significantly creates greater appearance from outside. And further back you can see the tanks. You've got 2 tanks, left and right. These tanks are switchable, which enable you to choose which tank is required, and should one of the tanks empty out, you still have a spare tank. Also of great importance and of a Jaguar design were the rear disc brakes, which were mounted on the differential. This differential is a limited slip differential, so that when you're going round the corners, the car hugs the road. These rear disc brakes were a great success by way of competition cars, which enabled competition cars to go right into the corner and then take off from the corner. And this enabled them to cut on time and win many, many different races. All these bushes are polyurethane to give the maximum sturdy ride, and you can notice all the detail in terms of the fixtures, which are chrome, and this is the fuel pipe, which once again has been polished as much as we can to make it shine. It sounds amazing. The XK engine was one of the most amazing engines by way of not only its power, but the way it sounded. Incredibly smooth, but had a lot of depth in terms of the engine sounds from it. It's ferocious when you drive. It smells amazing, because in those days you can smell the smell of petrol. I've always loved the smell of petrol, and burnt fumes and so on. But then it's a mixture of different smells, the leather, the wood, the upholstery, and it goes very well on the road. It's got incredible manners, impeccable manners, and is always very fast and very well positioned, very accurate on the road. So indeed, an experience in itself. Of course, when you drive a car like this, time stops. It's such a phenomenal environment and atmosphere to be in, by way of the nostalgia, history. So one of the beautiful features of this car is the in-depth in terms of the mechanical design and the sounds it makes. Like, closing the doors has a definite clunk, and you can feel that it's a masterpiece in terms of its mechanics and all the pieces that are put together. And so when I do open it, it gives me a great pride, to open such a beautiful machine. And as I sit inside it, it's truly extraordinary. It smells amazing, it looks appealing, and it's such a pleasure once inside to observe all the different neatly laid out instruments. This one showing miles per hour. At that time, the maximum miles per hour was 140 miles per hour. And then, it has a brake fluid indicator, which tells me if the brake fluid is low, and a rev counter, which makes it feel very racy, and we're able to see the revolutions of the engine. And of course, the water indicator and temperature, as well as the oil pressure indicator, the fuel indicator, and the current from the batteries. And all these switches are laid out so neatly, and you can control whether you're using a left tank or a right tank. It has 2 tanks. And all of this is immaculately chromed together with this old style radio. The glove compartment is also unique. This is something that always fascinates judges, because it's got an array of whiskies. All the detail is extraordinary, and when I found this, of course, this was all scrapped and broken and so on, so I had to varnish it over time. So you can see why, I had such a fondness towards this vehicle, because it had so much style. On one hand, it was a masterpiece in engineering. On the other hand, it was just quite extraordinary. A Jaguar, the way Sir William Lyons, the founder of Jaguar, envisioned his vehicles. In those days, cars were built around character, around people. And this man, insisted that the cars had to have chrome, wood, as well as leather. And you can see that it's extremely well furnished, but you also see the detail in the engine work, where he insisted to his engineers that, it didn't just have to work, it had to really look good. So it was all about ensuring how you felt in those days, and true to, the design. It's modern by all standards, because to this day, it has such a great appeal, not only for young people who are astonished at the detail and style and the craftsmanship, but it also, when I drive it in Nairobi, it delights pedestrians and makes them happy, because this is a car that has such a fame. The detail, Jaguar put so much effort in laying out such an amazing appeal, both in terms of chrome, wood. All the screws have to be absolutely perfect, all in line, and so on for the Concours. And all this leather work and special upholstery makes it such an extraordinary feeling. It's something that makes you feel very special indeed. And there's so much art involved in here, and so much detail that you can only sit in endlessly and appreciate this in a timeless manner. And then, it has this extraordinary array of comfort in the back. All this beautiful leather, beautifully stitched, beautifully crafted, and all the extraordinary detail in terms of the wood and all the clips, etc., and so on. Of course, this is not how I found it. 30 years ago, it was a total scrap. There were rats living in it, and everything was torn up and parts were missing. But over time, I was able to research and see all the detail and what it meant and why they chose to incorporate it in this vehicle and make such a special vehicle out of it. And so quite typically, they have the handles and the locks, etc., and so on, fully chrome, the ashtray. It's got a low seat style, so your legs are up, and has amazing views. This is extraordinary in terms of these classic cars. You know, you had such space and so much grace and such a view in terms of what you could see and appreciate as the car moves along. Lock mechanism, and it has its own toolkit, very special, you know, for a mechanic and a classic car enthusiast. All this detail really matters. It's got a spare spark plug, a small key to set the points gap, a crankshaft, camshaft measuring tool, and a plier and a screwdriver, a small brake hose to bleed the brakes, as well as a plug spanner, a grease gun, screwdrivers, and all these spanners, you know, which I've polished and have the Jaguar sign on them. This gives me an incredible thrill to look for parts, original parts, and parts that have, you know, the emblem of the Jaguar vehicle on them. It's also got a tyre pressure gauge. This is what a tyre pressure gauge looks like, and it's got the original Jaguar emblem on it. And this is part of the fascination, you know, of restoring vehicles. You know, you try to find everything in its original format, and when you do find it, you just imagine and appreciate the amount of depth and commitment they had in producing vehicles, and how it meant to them that you felt special when you drove them and owned them. While there are two sides to it, there was one side where, you know, I loved the nostalgic emotions around the car. And of course, the Concours then, over the next 28 years, not only encouraged me, but played a significant role within the context of a community of like-minded individuals who also have a great passion for this vehicle. The car itself is quite spectacular. It's a ferocious beast, and really is such a pleasure to drive as it is to actually tinker with and repair. And so this is how a winning Jaguar looks. It has to be absolutely immaculate outside as well as underside in order to win the Concours D Elegance.